Dream of retiring in Italy? Sandi from Vancouver, Canada did just that, and now lives in a beautiful rented home in the medieval town center of Arezzo, Tuscany. Today, she tells us the full story of how she made that dream a reality and gives practical advice for those who want to do the same.
When did I fall in love with Italy? 94, 95. I was living in Siena, studying Italian at l'Università per Stranieri. Spent a year and a half there, and I had always wanted to come back. But work and life intervened, and finally in the fall, late 2021, I realized that I could make it happen. And early 2022, I started putting things into action to make the transition. I'm a pharmacist by profession, and between owning and working in a community pharmacy, a hospital, working for a publication for pharmacists, working for insurance companies on analyzing the utilization of drug plans, working at the University of British Columbia teaching internationally educated pharmacists, some from Italy. When I retired from there, I decided that it was time to follow my dream, so to speak, which was to come back to Italy. I didn't have the idea in my mind the whole time. I always came back for visits as long as possible, given my work schedule. And I always knew that I wanted to spend more time in Italy, but it was interesting. I had a conversation with my accountants to say that, okay, I have this possibility now. I have three options. I could, follow the visa rules, 90 days out of every 180. I could rent my place and find another spot in Italy, or sell my place and move to Italy. And his immediate response was, sell your place. And my immediate reaction was, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. The whole process of getting the documentation was actually quite easy. I planned a trip here to take the first 90 days to give myself time to find an apartment, because you need to have documented residence to get that visa. So I wanted to find a place to rent. I knew that I wouldn't find something that fit my ideal right from the beginning, so I just wanted someplace that I could be comfortable until I found what I wanted. And I was smart enough to use the help of an agency, Smart Move Italy, to help me find it. And the place that I found, within the first couple of weeks, it was surprising. I was going to turn down because I felt it was too small, it was going to be uncomfortable. And Julie at Smart Move persuaded me that I had found this place. It was in a perfect location with a landlady that was willing to let me use it for residence, and that I should not turn it down. So I accepted it. And 2 months later, I had the signed contract, went back to Canada, and started the process of pulling together all the paperwork for the visa. The length of time to get the process going was about 5-6 months. To pull the documentation together took about a month. It was relatively easy. You've got all the documents on your computer, and it's a matter of pulling the PDFs together. When I sent them off to the consulate, because they pre-screen in Vancouver, they sent me a message back to say, sorry, we're moving location. We don't have time to look at them now. Send them no sooner than a month. So I did, and 6 weeks later, they sent me a message back to say, okay, everything looks fine, no commitment, but everything looks fine. You can now make an appointment, which I did for the Thursday before Thanksgiving, the Canadian Thanksgiving in October. And I knew within 5 minutes of walking in there that I had my visa and that I should go back the day after Thanksgiving to pick up my passport with a visa in it.
Great.
So then I just had to put the house on the market and empty it, which was the easy part of the whole thing.
Vancouver.
No honeymoon phase, no dream. It just feels so natural. It's not as if I've had this idea in my mind of moving to Italy. It's just I've come home and I just feel this is where I belong. And I knew what to expect because I'd lived here before. Although the bureaucracy moves a little slower than it did in the mid-90s. So as of Monday, I'll have my carta d'identità, the 26th of, it's 23rd, 25th of March. So that will have taken me pretty well 15 months. Tuscany was easy. Why did I choose Tuscany? Because I'd lived here before and I really liked it and it was home. I chose Arezzo because Siena has become too much of a tourist location and I did not want to live there. Visit, it's fine, I didn't want to live there, but Arezzo is on the train line. I can be in Florence in an hour. I can be in Rome in an hour and a half if I take the fast train. There are good bus connections, the Pullman, to all of the areas surrounding Arezzo. And within the city, the transit is really good. Great public library, nice size, you can walk it easily, lots of green space. The people here are very, very sympathetic. It's just, yeah, it's, you know, just, you walk anywhere and before you know it, you're in the middle of a conversation and it just happens organically. Just. The lifestyle difference, it's slower, it's more relaxed. Sometimes I have difficulty with the idea that when something is said to start at a certain time, it doesn't quite, it rarely does. But you learn to slow down, and if it doesn't start at the scheduled time, so what? You chat to the people around you or whatever. The fact that it takes you about 2 visits to your local bar to have them get your order ready when you walk in the door, when you are going to the market like we did this morning. They know you. They're just really friendly and remember you, and it's just so open. Favorite parts of Arezzo. How long can I make the list? One of my favorite locations is up at the very top of the hill beside the cathedral, the Duomo. There's a park called Il Prato. There are 2 different kiosks there that sell, coffee, wine, food, etc. In the evening at sunset, to go there on a hot summer day when the breeze is nice and cool is fantastic. A couple of pasticceria, pastry shops where you go and they know you and you sit down and you chat or read the newspaper, whatever your mood takes you. The fact that from my house, I can actually walk out of the city within 10 minutes and be in the countryside for a hike, for example. Those kinds of things are just help you slow down. And the neighborhood cats. I have got to know quite a few people in my neighborhood because there's one cat in particular called Freccia, which means arrow in Italian, because his tail is a bit distorted. It's crooked and it's sort of like the point of an arrow. And everybody looks after him, feeds him, gives him a place to sleep, just sort of spoils him rotten. and I've become part of that group. Well, shopping for local produce, there's a number of options. There is a farmer's market on Wednesdays, and literally local producers bring their produce in, and I buy fresh yogurt, cheeses, get my eggs there usually. Fruit and vegetables, not so much, because I do that at the market on Saturday, because there are a lot of vendors there. And I go to one in particular that they have their own produce. It's local, and you know what you're getting, and you know who you're getting it from, essentially. There's an alimentari that I go to on a regular basis, and they have prepared foods. Then they have some fruit and veg and wine, and the gentleman behind the counter is great at advising me on different wines to try, and he's gotten to know my taste, so he'll point out, saying, oh, I just discovered this, I think you'll like it, kind of. Depends. Sometimes I'll get up and the fact that I don't have to get up and rush to get into work is marvelous. So sometimes I'll just get up and putter around, and now that I have a terrazzo, have my coffee on the terrazzo. Sometimes I'll go to a bar and have coffee and chat. Sometimes I have made an appointment with friends to go for a hike. It really depends, But it's a lot of concerts in town, from concerts in the, I say big concert hall, it's not very big, Teatro Petrarca, which is from the 1700s, and they have nice concerts there, with tickets ranging from anywhere from 12 euros up to about 80, depending on who's there. There's a museum, Casa Bruschi, that runs a series of concerts, jazz in the summer on their rooftop terrazza with wine tasting, with a view of the church Pieve Santa Maria, their bell tower that's all lit up, which is the atmosphere is amazing. And there is a music school that has concerts every second Saturday for a whole euro, and you get to see some of the up and coming talent, and things like that. They just there are times I think I'm doing more now, after this little more than a year in Arezzo, than I did in Vancouver before I left. Life has just got busy. Negative aspects, things I didn't expect. I can't say that there are things that I didn't expect, because having lived here before, I had an idea. The one thing that I find I'm having difficulty with are the number of smokers and the number of people that wear strong perfumes. And coming from an area where, for example, you could not wear perfumes in an office, in a hospital, at the university, in a gym, when you're working out, for example, creates a bit of difficulty for me because I have some allergies. And of course, cigarette smoke. I spent a great part of my professional life counseling people on the problems caused by smoking and how to quit. And around me, the number of people who smoke, particularly the young people, I find a bit frustrating. Other than that, I had a bit of difficulty submitting my application for the permesso di soggiorno, but it was partially because I had only just recovered from COVID. I arrived with COVID. I was extremely weak and had not thoroughly filled out the application form, and it got rejected quite firmly at the post office. And so I called Smart Move and said, hey, I need some help, because I didn't feel strong enough to cope with it. But after that, everything has gone quite smoothly, I have to say. I haven't had any difficulties. And I'm really fast to throw myself on the mercy of whoever I'm going to see, whether it's transferring the accounts for all the utilities or getting a document and saying, you know, this may be a stupid question, but can you? And that works like a charm. Oh, imperative. Absolutely imperative. Um, I was fortunate in that I could speak the language relatively well when I arrived. After 30 years, my vocabulary had shrunk somewhat, and it's bounced back. And for the most part, my life here is entirely in Italian. And when you can walk into an office and speak their language, it makes it so much easier for them and for you to work your way through the bureaucracy and just to get to know people. You know, if you can't speak their language, it makes it very difficult to make friends and become part of the community. My advice to anybody thinking about a move like this, to whatever country it is, find an expert to help you through the process. My attitude was that when I was at home, if I needed help in whatever field, I mean, I'm an expert in my field, that's one thing, but if I needed help in anything, I would hire a professional at home. Why would I think that I would make a move like this without hiring a professional to help me through it? It sounds like you may spend a bit of money up front, but in the long run, it costs you a heck of a lot less when you have somebody that knows the ropes to work your way through it. And learn the language. You know, spend some time and take an immersion program. If you're thinking of living in a country, then go somewhere and spend 2 months in a language school in a location where you think you would like to be. Learn the language, get to know the location, and A, if you like it, then you're ahead of the game. B, if you like the language or learn the language but you don't like the particular location, you're well positioned to go somewhere else and sort of explore other locations. But in the meantime, you've got that language base and you can always improve on it. Practicalities when you are thinking of moving. Don't expect to find your dream home immediately, because you don't know the location. You don't know, if you're moving to a city, you don't know the city particularly well. It takes a little time to get to know it. The market has changed, so purchasing or renting is a little more difficult than it used to be. Renting particularly, because Airbnb and VRBO, etc., have essentially taken over the market. Buying takes a lot longer in most countries, so you don't, like I'm used to the Canadian perspective, and sold my house in 3 days, you know. Whenever I found a place, the sale went through, and usually in 24 to 48 hours, and it was just a case of figuring out, okay, so how quickly can I pull the move together? Here, just about anywhere in Europe, it takes a lot longer, and you have to factor that in. So if you have a base to start with, to find a location, to figure out what it is that you really want in a location, it'll make the transition a lot easier. It's cheaper in Italy. Certain things are more expensive, but when you factor in everything else, it is cheaper. Cost of housing is cheaper. Of course, bear in mind that I came from Vancouver, so anywhere practically would be cheaper. But no, even factoring that into account, Italy is a lot cheaper when it comes to either buying or renting. Cost of food is a heck of a lot less. Cost of gas for a car is more. Utilities are more. So things like gas for heating, electricity costs more. It's rare that you find a place with a dryer, for example. You hang your clothes out or put them on a rack because electricity costs. You'll find that people don't have the heat on in the homes all day, A, because it's against the law, and B, the cost of the gas to heat the home is prohibitively expensive. So things like that, but on the whole, it's cheaper.